Hello everyone, this is Ryubix and tonight we're here for the 6th episode of the Ryubix Sam Talks podcast. Today we will talk about women's soccer or women's football based on where you live worldwide. And as always, I will be co-hosting the podcast with my long friend Sam.
Hello.
It's always a pleasure to record videos with you.
Yeah, always. I'm always excited for these podcasts.
Me as well. And like last time, we're here with a guest, and the same guest as in the 5th episode, and this person is none other than mainstreet.
Hello. Happy to be here once more.
Yes, soon we will be a full member of our little host circle, I think. Anyways, let's start the show with the first subject of tonight, which is the Women's Euro that was hosted in England in July and August, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't quite make it to August, but yeah.
Well, maybe only the final, maybe, but not much more.
21st, yeah.
Okay, so to start with the Women's Euro, well, obviously the hosting group with England, Austria, Norway, and Northern Ireland.
It was a pretty straightforward group. I think Norway could have done a little better, but
Yeah,
England was going to do great.
So that 8-0 result was just awful. I think most people probably expected Norway to get out of this group, but they just were not present. The loss, well, probably really was the disheartening result. That meant they were just mentally not there for the Austria match that decided the group. But yeah, that was ugly.
Norway was totally underpowered in that group. I mean, the 8-0 loss was totally a shock in the group stage. And well, outside of that and Austria beating Norway 1-0, I think, as Sam said, the group was straightforward. There was no ties at all. And the hierarchy was quite respected in terms of power.
Yeah.
But good job on England to win 2 games by more than 5 goals and conceding no one in the group stage. Okay, let's move on to Group B, which is looking quite similar to what we have seen before.
Yeah, Group B, I don't think there's any surprises in the results here.
The teams are a lot closer than in Group A, but other than maybe Denmark going ahead of Spain, that was a pretty straightforward group as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite not a pain, but something similar to a frustration. Yes, a frustration to see that Denmark have 3 points, but they only scored 1 goal in 3 games. I don't know for you, but for me it's weird.
Well, I mean, they beat Finland 1-0 and then couldn't score against the top teams. That's what it came down to.
But I mean, based on both groups A and B, and surely C and D, we can totally see that even so, Europe still have overall the best. I mean, it is the most developed women's football continent. You still see that there is a big gap between the top and the low-ranked nations.
Yeah, no, it's a lot more present in women's football than it is in men's.
Yeah, the development is just lagging behind in a lot of countries. And the ones that didn't let it fall too far behind are the ones that tend to do the best.
Yeah, so as for Group B, for Group A, there is no much surprise. I mean, yes, in Group A, Norway third was a surprise, but overall, the hierarchy is quite respected. Okay, so Group C. Group C now is a bit more interesting. Even so, it is also quite based off the hierarchy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think there are any surprises in Group C either. The Netherlands were able to hold Sweden to 1 and play that game to a draw, and from there the group was pretty much set up to do exactly as it did.
I will say I think Sweden was the overall favorites in this group, so it's no surprise they got first. However, the Netherlands having the same number of points as Sweden, I think, is a bit of a shock. Even though the Netherlands is doing a lot better, even in women's, like they're doing really good. So
I would
it's basically another straightforward group, I think.
I wouldn't call it a surprise that Netherlands have the same number of points as Sweden. I mean, yeah, Netherlands was not considered as good as Sweden, but it's not a big shock that they managed to get a tie. I mean, they were at the time the current champions.
Right, but Sweden has had one of the best national teams since women's football started becoming a huge thing. And the Netherlands, it took them a couple years.
Yeah.
True, but I mean, it could. What I wanted to say is that for me, having Sweden or Netherlands first was not
Yeah.
a shock. It could have gone both ways. That's what I meant. Both nations were assumed to advance no matter what.
I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone had much faith in Switzerland or Portugal at this point.
Yeah, no,
Group
Switzerland.
D a little more interesting.
What? Oh, you meant you wanted Switzerland and Portugal to bring more
No, I'm not
respect?
saying I don't think anybody gave them much chance.
No.
Yeah, especially Portugal that weren't supposed to participate in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Russia banned. Yeah.
because for those that don't know, Russia qualified over Portugal in the first place in the playoff, I think. And
Yeah.
well, due to the war in Ukraine, Russia was banned from the tournament, and Portugal was given the spot as the best team that didn't qualify initially for the tournament.
Yeah.
Okay, so Group D now with my country.
Yeah. France topped the group, and really nobody was surprised by that. But it was really second place that was the competition. Anything can happen there.
It's surprising Iceland got third over Italy. But other than that, I mean, Italy and Belgium were, I think, supposed to vie for second place and not Iceland and Belgium.
Yeah, I mean, I think none of them are that great right now. I think Belgium probably is the best by not very much. Italy's definitely lagging behind the other, what you might think of as traditional powers, just in terms of the development of the women's game. But they got here, and yeah, they struggled a little bit. Really, they just probably this is one of these things where the order of games actually matters, because Italy drew France first. France came out, put up a 5 spot, and France probably knew they had the group at that point and might have taken the foot off the gas. And the others didn't concede as many goals, and that really helped.
As a French, I think. I mean, first off, we at the time the 5-1 was a record in the women's Euro. It was a record in both men and women's Euro, because no national team have ever managed to score 5 goals in both men and women's in a single half-time in official match in the Euro.
Oh yeah, those are all first half goals. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the 5. I mean, first of all, it was a surprise for us. I mean, obviously, but it was. I think that loss 5-1 was a shock for the team, and maybe it's what led to their downfall in the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe without that, maybe they would have still finished fourth, but I'm pretty sure it helped to the failure that continues. I mean, following that, they tied to Iceland, which in itself is not a bad nation in European women's, but they shouldn't have tied a point to them as a country that is often in the World Cup. And well, after that, they lost to Belgium. It was over. It's probably the biggest upset in the tournament. And I want to share a personal experience. The fact that we opened the score in the first minute against Iceland, and initially it wasn't supposed to be a 12-minute extra time. I think it was like 5 minutes, I don't remember, but the fact it stayed until 12 minutes and having a penalty to concede a tie, I was furious. Everyone in France was furious.
Yeah.
I mean, we qualified either way, but how can a match be extended to 12 minutes? I don't.
These things happen. Yeah, but I do think, that not to the same extent, but very similarly, the 5-1 result probably had a similar impact on the Italians that the 8-0 had on Norway, and definitely affected going forward. So that was an issue.
Yeah, so overall, yeah, out of the 8 favorites, only 2 were out in the group stage, which is in fact quite good. I mean, the good nations were good, and there was just 2 surprises to keep a minimum of interest for third parties in the tournament.
Yep.
Okay, so the knockout stage now. Do you have anything special to say about what happened in the bracket?
Best 2 teams made it to the final. Best team won.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're right.
I will say a lot of credit to Spain for pushing England to an extra 30. I don't think many people expected that to happen. They got there, and that was a thing. And similar with the Netherlands pushing France in that quarterfinal. Again, England and France were expected to get to that next round, and they did. Not sure we necessarily want to take it for a given in the semis what would happen, because I think those were definitely the 4 best teams. They do tend to beat each other up quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely saw some great play from England and winning it at home.
And even though Sweden used to be like a big powerhouse, like back in the day when women's football was starting to become popular, I think Germany has since risen above them in recent years.
Oh, so totally. As has France. I mean, it's definitely.
Yeah, I'd say France and Sweden are about the same level now, but Germany is definitely above Sweden at this point.
Yeah. One thing I will mention is just looking at the attendance figures. I feel like the English Football Association definitely kind of blew it, and they lowballed the attendances a bit, and they definitely could have put some games in bigger stadiums, especially their own games. I mean, the final was the record for any Euro, breaking the record they set in the opening match at Old Trafford, and they definitely could have put some more games in not all these 20, 30K stadiums that didn't really do a whole lot.
Yeah, but because of the recent Women's World Cup, and I mean overall they know that less people are interested or invested in women's football. That's why they have given medium-sized stadiums, and yeah, they could have tried to put some bigger matches in bigger stadiums. I agree with you, but I rather have a small or medium stadium that is fully packed than a bigger one, but you see a lot of empty space.
I have heard that, at least in England, I don't know about everywhere else, but at least in England, the women's national team is just as popular, if not more so, than the men's. Like, I know in the US, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not British, I'm not English, so it's highly likely. I mean, England is the country of football to start with. But I mean, if the federation decided to put most matches on 30,000 seat stadiums, it's because they think they couldn't bring way more people for the Women's Euro. And well, when you see that some quarterfinals have less than 10,000 people attending, they weren't wrong for the most part. I mean, outside of England and Germany, I don't see.
How much of that was just available seats in the stadiums, and how much?
Right. I mean, have you heard of Leeds Stadium or New York Stadium? I mean, these are what, League Two stadiums probably.
Yeah. But the difference is that, and they could have even had some seats that weren't even available.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you could have been playing more games in even some of the mid-tier stadiums in the Premier League, as they did play some of the games. You see some games in Brighton and Sheffield, Milton Keynes. But to only have, like I said, the opening game of the final in really big stadiums, I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity. I think England could have gotten 40,000, 50,000 every game, at least for their home matches.
I mean, for
Not
most
for the matches that
I
don't
mean,
involve England.
it was a book stadium for every England match, but I mean, it was hard to know in advance in which matches England will play. So that's why mostly the opening and the final were the big stadiums. But I mean,
Yeah, you just assume they win the group. But yeah, that's fair.
overall, it was a great tournament. I mean, most stadiums were packed outside. I think Group D was totally not high, and some quarterfinals. Overall, the stadiums were packed, and that's how you bring people. If people on TV see that the stadiums are half empty, they will be less likely to they might do not want to go to the stadiums in person if they see that it's not fully packed. You know,
Not trying to agree with that, but okay. I respect your view on that.
yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but maybe you got the idea, I think.
Yeah.
I think we're ready to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, let's start talking about the next competition.
You're right. After the Women's Euro, we will be moving across the Atlantic and watch the CONMEBOL Copa America Femenina. That was hosted in Colombia, and well, it's a bit different in the format.
Yeah, I mean, you have 10 CONMEBOL nations, so it's going to be 2 groups of 5. You can't really do it any other way.
Yeah, it should be noted that unlike the men's version, they only use the local teams and does not send invitation from to countries from another confederation.
And that's also because the Copa America in Femenina serves as World Cup qualifying in the men's tournament.
Yeah,
they don't want to do
that's probably the reason.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's less developed, so maybe they don't want to, waste time maybe doing to other continents. I don't know. But anyways. And for Group A, I don't know much about women football in South America.
So, I mean, I know a fair bit. I know the seeding. I mean, Group A had no draws. So you would say like the better team won every time. I would say the big surprise here is Paraguay beating Chile. It was probably something they were not expecting to do. It has been to the World Cup. They were a very experienced side, but Paraguay came out and played very well. They looked very good.
I was gonna say I don't know much about South American football, but I know that at least 80% of the teams are still very much in development on the women's side. So it's mostly gonna be even, with the exception of the like 2 or 3 that made it to the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a big gap between number 2 and number 3 in terms of the CONMEBOL rankings and the quality you're going to see. So yeah, Colombia won all its games, which was not a surprise. But then it's who does come out on top, among the other 8, and it is Paraguay here in Group A, upsetting Chile and putting a performance that I really enjoyed watching throughout that. That was good.
Okay, so the surprise is Paraguay.
Technically, in terms of ranking, technically Ecuador also upset Bolivia, but that is also a case where I don't think there's as much to say there. Neither team made it anyway.
Okay, so if I have to resume and understand what you have said, it's like Group A from Women's Euro, basically.
Yeah, it's similar to that. Though I would say maybe not as much extent. I don't think people thought of Chile to the same quality extent that they would have with Norway. But I think Chile was probably expected to advance out of the group, and they didn't.
Okay, interesting. Should we move to Group B then?
Yeah. So by contrast, in Group B, there are no surprises here. Everything went down exactly as we expected it to in terms of the result. Maybe the score line's not necessarily, but everything was expected to win one, and there were no draws.
Yeah, I mean the score lines were basically you when you play your little brother on FIFA. Like
Yeah.
every time it was that.
Yeah, I mean, Peru is just not developed right now, and Brazil is very good and super developed. And the other three are kind of in the middle, but Argentina is the best of them, and that's what we saw here.
Basically, just like in men's, in the women's, it's Brazil and then Argentina as the top two, and they're always going to be in the top two.
I would not agree with that, but okay.
How would you say Colombia is better?
Oh, way better. But
okay.
Yeah. But Argentina is probably the third and the sort of best of the rest, as it were.
I trust your judgment since you seem to know more than I do when it comes to it.
Yeah, I trust you.
I mean, Argentina is not bad. They're getting there, but they definitely, I think, lagged behind Colombia. They took a couple more years to start to develop a professional game and so on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing that I mean I already know about Brazil. I think it's one of the few teams that made all the Women's World Cup, if I'm not wrong. But to be fair,
with Brazil, the US, and Canada,
I didn't expected Venezuela to be a decent side in South America, even in women's.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know that is so much credit to Venezuela, honestly, as much as it is so many South American countries have just failed to develop the women's game properly, to where Venezuela's own lack of development doesn't stand out as being poor, honestly. A lot of these countries really need to get it in gear and start respecting their women's play like they respect their men's.
Okay, interesting POV and interesting. Okay, so now we can move to the way easier to understand knockout stage.
Yeah. The better team won every game.
But I mean, it's like the last the Euro. I mean, each time each group winners advance to the next stage. That's what I see.
Yeah. 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 Colombia and Brazil are the two top teams in their groups. They won. In the fifth place match, Chile beat Venezuela. Chile was possibly expected to be in the semis. They aren't, but they did win in penalties, so they will be going to the playoffs. Colombia, Brazil got their wins. Argentina in third place. Brazil with the win in the final. None of these results were shocks.
So top four in CONMEBOL makes it to the World Cup, and then the fifth place goes to the playoff.
It is top three, I think.
Top three of the World Cup, next two to the playoffs. So Paraguay and Chile will both go to the playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah, because maybe most people that watches us already knows it, but except for Europe, in women's football or soccer, based on where you live, the Continental Cups serves as the final step of qualifiers and elects the teams that will represent each continent in the World Cup, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
As
that part I knew.
So now that we have explained it and we have finished with South America, we will move up to the north with the Concacaf Women's Championship, which is not to be confused with the Women's Gold Cup, which is a new tournament that will start in the upcoming year, I think.
It's kind of hard to see the logo. It's the Concacaf W Championship.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the W is kind of blended into the background there, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my fault if the color is matching with the background.
Well, who made the background? But no, that's fine.
Yeah, but I wasn't when I did it. I wasn't thinking, oh shit, I can't do the Women's Championship on it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
So I don't see. I think maybe I don't see much surprises in Group A here, like other than maybe Mexico. Oh, yeah,
no, I mean Mexico at least.
Mexico. What happened here? Everybody would have said before this tournament, Mexico 6 points, no problem.
Especially as hosts.
They just failed. Yeah, especially as hosts. Like, obviously, they were not going to beat the United States, but they should have been able to take down the two Caribbean sides without much difficulty. And they just got beat. They got beat by Jamaica. I think they were still in shock from that. And then Haiti just rolled them. And uh, that this was the story of the tournament, really. The surprise was just how bad Mexico did.
Right.
They're going to need to clean house.
I'm wondering if arrogance just got to them.
Sorry, what?
I'm wondering if it was their arrogance, or not arrogant. Just well, I guess it would be arrogance, but basically,
if they just start looking past teams. But the thing is you'd almost think there's no reason to do that because there's not like there's anybody like to look past toward you. You know, even if you're on top of your game, you're probably not beating the U.S. here. So win the two games in front of you, and they just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
They're a team that expects to be in every World Cup, and they're not, and that's.
I mean, let me try to guess how it happened. I mean, first of all, I think it was just incompetence from the staff to start with. And maybe there was some hidden stuff we don't know in the background. Anyways.
Right. Mexico definitely looked like they came out flat and were just not playing up to the level that they should have been.
What I want to say is that, I mean, losing 1-0 to a team where you were favorite, I mean, it's a shock to start with, but only losing 1-0 is not an humiliation. I mean, it can happen. It's a low score. I think they tried to... They were a bit shocked, as you said, anyways, and yet they lost 3-0 against Haiti, which should have not happened at all compared to Jamaica. And they were like, okay, we screwed up twice. We didn't manage to correct our errors. And we are playing USA. It is the final match. And we have to do anything to be in the Intel Confederation playoffs. And when you see the results and the scoreline, you can actually tell they have made... It was probably the better game in the all three. Because, well, they only lost 1-0 against USA. And the goal they conceded was at the 89th minute. So at maybe 1 or 2 minutes, they considered a tie and could have gone 1 point against the better side in the group.
This is very true, though I will point out that the U.S. had already topped the group, and I believe they did rest most of their stars in that match. But yes, even so, that is still a very nice end to it. But I don't think that really should save the jobs of the staff.
Yeah.
But well, in the end, they lost 3 times, and we will not see them in the World Cup for the second time in a row. Yeah. But I mean, good news, we will see the reggae girls in the World Cup. And I mean, who doesn't want to see Jamaica?
Yeah. Yeah, they've got some good players. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and we'll see how Haiti does in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Group B was kind of the same scenario. No surprise, so.
Yeah, no real surprise, though. I would have expected Panama to not fold over as completely as they did to Costa Rica. You probably do expect a Costa Rica win there, but I would not have been surprised with a draw there. A tougher match than 3-0. Other than that, yeah, these all pretty much went as you would have expected them to.
Yeah.
Okay, so not much to say except like for CONMEBOL. I mean, what are those coincidences? Like, look, every game in this Group B, it's always something against 0, like Group B of CONMEBOL.
It's called lack of development in women's soccer around the world.
I mean, the coincidence. Yeah. Group B in CONMEBOL was the same. It's all linked.
Well, yeah, but
teams just don't have the ability to score against teams that have more development, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to joke a little, but you didn't get it. Anyways.
Okay, I mean, yeah, Group A is also that way, though. The losing team was 0 every game in this tournament.
Wait, what? Seriously? Oh, yeah, you're... No, yes, you're right. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, no, okay, it's the difference is...
And actually, it's also the case in the knockout stage. That's also the case in the knockout stages. Every game in this tournament, the losing team had 0.
Okay, so basically it's like baseball, I don't know, tennis. One side dominates the other. Oh my god.
I think the biggest surprise in the knockouts was Jamaica taking Costa Rica to extra time.
And then beating them. Yeah. Costa Rica probably was the favorite in that, but that was going to always be a good match. And yeah, Jamaica did get the job done, and that was probably the that last round was the best round. I mean, the U.S. Canada was always going to be a great final, and it was.
The U.S. Canada game in women's is similar to the U.S. Mexico game in men's.
Yeah,
it just has a lot more weight to it because they're both great teams when it comes to women's soccer around the world, not just within the region.
Yeah, I will note that the U.S. Mexico game here actually did get more attendance than the U.S. Canada game here did. But of course, that's probably because it was in Mexico.
Yeah.
Anyways, it does not matter which team gets which rank, because anyways the 4 teams got their booked their tickets to the World Cup.
Sure, but you want to win the tournament anyway.
Yes, you want to win the tournaments. You want to say, look, I'm the best, and do the middle finger on them.
Yeah.
With the trophy. Even so, I'm still confused about the Women's Championship and Women's Gold Cup thing, because for me it's like...
I think you're just rebranding it ultimately.
Yeah, but apparently it's a new tournament, and the palmarès is starting over 2-0, so anyways. It's not me who decide.
Yeah.
Okay, so the champions will defend their 2 last titles in the World Cup. Oh my god. I dream to take my revenge on United States in the Women's World Cup. Maybe someday. The fourth and last subject is, well, across the Atlantic once again, and it is the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, which was hosted in Morocco for the first time ever. Well,
yeah.
I might be wrong, but I think it was Morocco as well as Uganda first participation in the WAFCON.
According to the thing, they've been in the group stage before. They hadn't, but Morocco never gotten out of the group before, and they went ahead and put up 9 points here in Group A, which was impressive, but had the home fans behind them, so that helped.
Was I right on Uganda at least for the first participation?
2000 was, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so overall, well...
yeah, 4 debutants: Burundi, Togo, Burkina Faso, and Botswana all debuted.
Okay. Okay, so in this group, well, the host and Senegal were passed. I mean, it was the 2 favorites, so we don't have many surprise to say.
The biggest shock in that Morocco beat Senegal, but then again they were hosting, so they had a slight advantage in that sense.
Yeah, true. I agree. Morocco struck well in their own WAFCON, so it was a good start for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not written here, but mostly the matches in Group A were attracted a lot of people from Morocco. It really created a hype in the country,
which was what was supposed to do. So good. A good Morocco side will definitely help Africa going forward.
I mean, I can't wait to see them in the World Cup, but we're not here yet in the video.
Yeah.
Group B, which have 3 teams advancing instead of 2.
Yeah, it was the 2/3 format. So Tunisia was one of the 2 best 3rd place teams.
Yes. This tournament was the first with 12 teams, so obviously they changed the format.
Yeah.
Congrats on Togo on getting a point.
Yeah.
Because you said they were one of the debutants, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I did.
Well, I want to make a joke, but I want to know if you're ready to have the bad joke or not.
I think we can skip it this time.
Okay, sad for me then. Okay, so I think the surprise is Zambia topping the group anyway.
Yeah, and again, it comes back down to that Togo getting a point on Cameroon, which caused that really, because had Cameroon been able to get the win, you would have had a different result there potentially. I mean, it would have come down to goal difference, but I think part of it was Togo playing Cameroon really tough. Because Zambia and Cameroon should be the top two teams in that group, but you would have expected maybe a bit more from Cameroon, but they still got there, which is what matters.
Yeah, overall the group was quite tight. It was a lot of clashes, and well, I think it was more of Cameroon that was struggling offensively like a lot of times. I mean,
Yeah,
I think I see this scenario in a lot of tournaments. I see Cameroon. They are good, but they often lack offensive quality.
yeah, that sounds fair.
Okay, so Group C is the second group to have three teams advancing, which was a blessing for Botswana.
Yeah, they managed to beat Burundi, get the win, and that was what made them one of the top teams, and they got into knockouts for it. Well played game. I
But
think everybody pretty much expected South Africa and Nigeria to get out of the group, so it was really going to come down to that game, and that's what happened.
yeah, we should at least mention that South Africa managed to beat Nigeria, which was a huge upset.
That true, that is. Yeah,
Because I mean, I don't remember the number of WAFCON that was played until now, but before this edition, all of them except two were won by Nigeria, and those two by Equatorial Guinea. So
yeah,
having Nigeria lose to South Africa in the first match was huge.
yeah.
It's like the David versus Goliath or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that I mean the third place teams
And that definitely affected the seeding in the knockouts, and definitely could have affected the result there. So,
You mean the seeding about the knockout stage or the group stage draw?
in the knockout stage, because by that forced Nigeria into the C2 slot, which meant they had a harder road in the
Yes.
there.
I mean, it's a problem when you have a tournament using the repêchage ID to the bracket. It's always you often ends with a not fair bracket, like for Europe 2016, for example, where all the teams that have won it were in the bottom side of the knockout, and all the teams that never reach a final in the top side.
Yeah, 2/3 format is a bit weird like that, but I guess the alternative is to either keep it at 8 teams they didn't want, or expand to 16, which they also didn't want because there'd be too many bad teams then. So,
yeah, true.
This knockout was definitely the closest of all the four that we've done. Lots of penalties.
Yeah, lots of penalties, lots of losing teams actually scoring goals. Lots of every result was either a 1-goal game or a penalty or a penalty shootout.
But African women's soccer is way less on the development side than even CONMEBOL, so you're going to get that a lot. They're just a lot more even because of that. Which it's great for the competition, but hopefully they can start developing better.
Yeah,
so they can start winning some games in the World Cup and against the other nations, or not nations, but the other confederations.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Morocco, not a side we expected to see a whole lot out of per se, but they took the home crowd all the way to the final, and then ran into a South African side that was better. But
congrats to South Africa for second, or for first place. Congrats to Morocco for second. Congrats to Zambia for beating Nigeria.
It is the first title ever for South Africa.
Yeah, it is. They're probably very glad that they did not have to face Nigeria for a second time in the tournament.
I mean, South Africa, I think they lost like 3 times in the final of the WAFCON.
Yeah, something like that.
So, I mean, when I got that final, I was a bit heartbroken because on one side you have Morocco that were reaching their first final in a legendary tournament at all and could have won for the first time. It would have been huge for the country. But on the other side, you have South Africa that was, as I said, lost 3 times in the final before. So in
5.
both scenarios, I will be happy for one and sad for the other, way more than I should be.
Yeah.
And well, in the end, Nigeria were totally failed. I mean, they lost on penalties against Morocco.
Yeah.
Even so,
And
they were starting to make a comeback in the knockout stage. But well, they totally threw up in the end. I think they didn't want to play the third place match at this point.
Yeah, that's probably the case. When you're used to winning, the third place match doesn't feel great. But yeah, at the end, I believe that all 4 semifinalists are in the World Cup, so we'll look forward to that. We'll also see Cameroon and Senegal in the playoffs after they won their qualifier.
Yeah, maybe they will have a ticket too. We don't know yet.
Yep.
But I can't wait to see Morocco, South Africa, and well, Zambia in a way. It will be the first World Cup for Morocco and Zambia.
Indeed.
I mean, in women.
Yeah.
Is this the first World Cup for Zambia in both?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be for Zambia.
If you don't count the history of Zambia being a colony in early World Cups, because technically then they will be in the World Cup, but as part of a European country. Yes, it is the first World Cup, men and women taken into account.
Right.
Yeah, because in the history of some countries like Algeria or Congo, when you look at the history of the World Cup, it's written part of France, part of Belgium, etc., etc. So their history is technically those of France before they gained their independence.
Yeah.
So I don't know from which country it gained independence, but technically it has the history of the country in question.
I think that does it.
What?
Is there any? There's no more competitions, right? That was everything?
No, that was the last one. So, well, it is the end of the video already.
It is.
Yeah.
So, do you want to say something at the end, or should I start with the au revoir?
Can't wait to watch the playoffs, and I'm excited for all the teams in the World Cup that are debuting on the women's side, and especially to Zambia for debuting on both sides. And I can't wait to see the matches in 2023.
Me too. And also to play the game on FIFA 23 with the DLC.
Hopefully.
Yeah, forward to all this. Yeah, we'll.
In theory.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to point something for the viewers. The CAF often shows some matches free on their YouTube channel, and I was able to watch some this WAFCON matches, especially the final, and I was really enjoying it and the atmosphere in the stadium. Like, I have seen the final Morocco versus South Africa on YouTube. It was amazing. So if any of you can watch some African games on YouTube, men or women, it's not a waste of time and it's free. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add, mainstreet?
What?
No, that's good.
What did you say, Sam?
I was asking if mainstreet had anything to say.
And I don't.
Okay, so thank you everyone for watching us tonight. I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to subscribe, to give us some comments, to tell us on what you like, what you dislike. Are there points we need to improve? Are there subjects we need also to talk about sometimes? New ideas also to refresh the series if needed. And well, thank you, Sam, for co-hosting with me as always.
Yeah, always.
And well, mainstreet, thank you for coming with us tonight, and see you in future episodes with hopes.
Okay.
And well, have a good night or have a good evening based on where you live. See ya later, people.